We're going to turn to the day's business news with Stephen Carl. Starting with that fine, Stephen, for Johnson & Johnson in the United States. How damaging will that be for the company?
Well, firstly, it is worth repeating that Johnson & Johnson is appealing this ruling. The company says the facts or the law don't support this court finding that its pharmaceutical subsidiary was responsible for the addiction crisis. But nevertheless, they have been fined $572 million for public nuisance by this judge in Oklahoma. The amount of that fine, though, is much lower than it could have been. Oklahoma's Attorney General had sought as much as $17 billion from the company. And for that reason, we actually saw Johnson & Johnson's share price rise in after-hours trading after this ruling came through, firstly spiking by more than 4%, but finishing those extended trading hours up over 2%. Now, there are a large number of other cases pending against other companies and in other states over this issue. Two other firms, including Teva Pharmaceuticals, had settled their case in Oklahoma. Teva's shares up almost 4% after this judgment. This is seen as giving some idea of what the potential future fines could be in other cases, and it may even encourage other firms to settle.
Meanwhile, Stephen, the market's at the minute feeling pretty optimistic over Chinese-US trade relations.
So before leaving the G7, Donald Trump made positive noises about finding a deal with China to end the trade war between the world's two biggest economies. Global markets have been riding a roller coaster over this story. It is a muted start to trading in Europe, though. London, Paris and Frankfurt all opening in the red, although not by very much. Things more upbeat in Asia, gains across most markets there, largely due to that those signals coming out of the United States on the trade war. There were some positive data on industrial profits in China for the month of July as well, which was adding to some of the investor optimism in Asia. And
of course, those comments coming at the G7, and the French government has now promised to compensate businesses that may have been badly affected by the security detail over that summit.
President Macron made this announcement at the end of an interview on French television on Monday evening. Many shops and restaurants in Biarritz had complained of a drop in custom due to the security cordon around the summit, but others were able to cash in on the event. Solange Mijan reports.
A police lockdown that for some ground business to a near halt. During the G7 summit, there were over 13,000 police encircling Biarritz. A security perimeter that for some made the southwestern city feel like a ghost town.
We want to get back to the Biarritz that we know, with passers-by, especially during the month of August.
At this food market, some shop owners lost up to 80% of their profits during the 4-day lockdown, as tourism slowed and locals left town.
We're going to have to fight to close out the year. It's big figures time. We've lost 80% of a lot of money. It's not losses from any old week. It's a week in the summer.
Perhaps we'll see some compensation, but when and for how long? If it's in 5 years' time, then it's too late.
For some sectors, though, the G7 summit was profitable, namely for those in the hotel industry. For nearly 2,000 journalists and 3,000 staff from international delegations were in town.
During the summit, we rented to a member of the British delegation, €250 a night.
And this hotel manager hopes the international attention will increase tourism.
I think the summit will help, not this year, but in the years to come. I'm confident.
Another big winner of the summit, locals who rented out their houses. Some 2,000 homes were reserved online, with some going for up to €600 a night.
Boeing is facing its first lawsuit from a customer over the grounding of the 737 MAX plane. The Russian aircraft leasing firm Avia is suing the aerospace giant for failing to reveal information about whether the plane was safe to fly. Avia had ordered 35 of the jets before Boeing was forced to ground the fleet worldwide. That after 2 deadly crashes involving the aircraft. Avia now wants its $35 million deposit to be returned, as well as $75 million in compensation for lost profits.
And finally, from you, Stephen, for this edition, if you love the taste of fried chicken but don't want to eat meat, there is now an alternative.
That's right, KFC is to start selling a plant-based alternative to its signature product in nugget and boneless wing form. Beyond Fried Chicken will be made by the company Beyond Meat. They're already supplying their products to chains like TGI Fridays, Del Taco and Dunkin' Donuts. The news sent Beyond Meat's shares up over 5% on Wall Street. The new product will be tried out in a KFC restaurant in Atlanta later today. It will come with its usual choice of sauces, but will be fried in what the company is calling a shared fryer, which might trouble some people looking for that totally meat-free experience.
Indeed, you'd imagine it would definitely influence the taste.
I think so. I don't know enough about it,
Yeah,
to be honest.
we all put so much sauce on it anyway. Stephen Carroll, thanks a lot for that business update.